You've done everything right. You've built the business, followed the playbook, paid for the coaches, the masterminds, the programs, and you're still waking up in the middle of the night with that same pit in your stomach about cash flow, about money. Let me tell you what that pit is. It's not a revenue problem, it's not a strategy problem, and it's not a marketing problem. That pit you feel in the middle of the night is a sound of your survival identity running you. It's running a business that your wealth identity is supposed to be running. And I'm going to show you exactly how to make that shift. The same shift that took me from $150,000 in debt, 3 weeks from my wedding, foreclosure sticker on my garage, to earn more in a single month than most people earn in a year. Wealth, it's not a game you play with stress. Wealth is a game you play from identity. And by the time we're done here, you're going to play your game much differently, because that's what this is. Here's what I want you to understand. Before we go any further, wealth is not something you chase. You've got to brain tattoo this. That's the losing game. I'm going to say that again because I want you to feel it at your core. Wealth is not something you chase. Wealth is something you become. Most people play the game of wealth to win it. They chase the money, they chase the deal, they chase the breakthrough, and the more they chase, the more it runs away from them. That is because the universe does not respond to your effort. The universe always responds to your commitment, to your identity. You never attract what you want, you only attract what you are. Let me say that one more time so it really hits. You never attract what you want, you attract what you are. So the question is not, how do I get more money? The question is, who do I need to become for the money to follow me? That is a completely different game. It is the game the wealthy have been playing for generations, while the rest of the world is still trying to win a game they were never set up to win. Now listen, if you're the kind of person who was built for something big, I mean something real, that's why you're watching this. The person who's put in the years, that's done the work, and you are quietly tired of your grind not matching your reward, drop a 1 in the comments right now. Just a 1. I want to know exactly who I'm talking to in this video. Because this video is not for the 22-year-old with a dream. This video is for you. The person who should be further along than you are. The person who knows you are built for more than this. Before I can show you how to make the shift, we have to talk about what is keeping you stuck. And I promise you, it's not what you think it is. And it's not going to be hard to get out of. There's an invisible ceiling on your income right now. Most people never see it. But it is running your entire financial life, and it is set by exactly one thing. Here's something you already know, but you probably never have spoken out loud. Every person watching this video right now has a number. I don't know what yours is, but you do. It's the number you feel comfortable earning. And above that number, the universe seems to conspire against you. When you spike, you come right back down. The deals fall through after your best month. Clients start ghosting you. Opportunities disappear. You make the sale, then you lose it. You earn the bonus, and then somehow the unexpected expense shows up. The tax bill, the break in the air conditioner, the family emergency. Something always pulls you right back to where you started. That's not bad luck. That's your thermostat. Your subconscious has a temperature set point for money, exactly like the thermostat in your home. If it's set to 72 degrees, you can open the windows in July and heat the house up to 90. The air conditioner kicks on and pulls it back to 72. You can open the windows in January, let it drop to 40. The heater kicks on and pulls it back to 72. The thermostat wins every time. We have a thermostat inside of us. Not because it is powerful, because it is automatic. It's our cybernetic network. Your bank account operates exactly the same way. If you're set at $100,000 a year, you can go earn 200, and within 6 months, something will pull you back to 100. If you're set at $1 million, you can lose 800,000, and you will rebuild it in 12 months. The number people earn is not a reflection of their skill alone. It is a reflection of their thermostat. Your income will never exceed your standards ever. I'll say it again. Your income will never exceed your standards. Your standards are directly related to the amount of money you earn. It is impossible to exceed the standards we hold of ourselves. So the next question becomes, who set your thermostat? Because I know you did not. You did not wake up between 5 and 7 years old and decide, you know what, I'm going to struggle. I'm going to earn $150,000 a year for the rest of my life. That setting came from somewhere. It came from the people who raised you. It came from the neighborhood you grew up in. It came from the conversations at the dinner table about money. It came from watching your family. You're watching your father or your mother struggle and absorbing the belief money is hard, money is scarce, money is something you fight for. 95% of your thinking is running in the background on autopilot, on a program you did not write. And that program, that paradigm is setting the temperature of your life. Napoleon Hill wrote about 6 basic fears that control human beings. The fear of poverty, the fear of criticism, the fear of ill health, the fear of loss of love, the fear of old age, and the fear of death. I want you to ask yourself, which fear is driving you? Is it poverty? Is it criticism? Is it health? Is it loss of love? Is it growing old? Is it death? For the high achiever, for the person really watching this video right now, the fear that runs the thermostat is almost never the fear of poverty. You're past that. The one that gets you is the fear of criticism, the fear of being seen, the fear that if you go too big, you will draw fire. People will talk. Your family will whisper. Someone who loves you will look at you and say, who do you think you are? And so you shrink quietly, unconsciously. Every single time the number gets close to the new number, something in you tenses up. Something sabotages the deal. You do not even see it happen. You just notice for the 10th time in 10 years, I'm right back where I started. So here's what I want you to do right now. Pause the video, take a piece of paper out, and I want you to write the 3 numbers you're afraid to say out loud. The income you actually want, write it down. Forget about how it's going to happen. I just want you to write it down. The net worth you actually want, I want you to write that down. And the money you want sitting in the bank before you can finally breathe easy. I want you to take a moment and write all 3. The second you do this, you just activated a prosperity consciousness in your mind. Now, it's got to continue with repetition, but you activated it, and that's the start. The number you will not say out loud is the number your thermostat is set against. It's the number your program cannot even understand. Now, let me ask you something, and I want you to be so honest with yourself, not with me, but with yourself. When was the last time you felt comfortable at the number you're trying to reach? Not excited, not hopeful, comfortable, where it's just a part of you, it's normal. I want you to treat what you wrote down as your current income goal, and you treat it like that every day. I want you to ask yourself, if I already lived there, what would my life be like? If I already lived there, where it was impossible for me not to do this, where would my confidence be? Now, if you can't remember a moment like that, with that type of normalcy, that's where the work starts. The work is always identity. The work is right there, changing your programming. But here's the trap. I see people fall into it every single day. They can't identify their thermostat and still not change anything because they don't want to look at their results. They bury them because fear does not leave just because you see it. You have to replace the program that produces it. And that is the abundance conversation almost nobody is having with themselves accurately. Now watch this. Most people think abundance is thinking positive thoughts about money. That is not abundance. That's positive thinking. I'm not interested in positive thinking. I'm interested in accurate thinking. This is where the truth comes in. Because positive thinking, you could be the most optimistic person, but be filled with fear. That is not a positive, prosperous mental attitude. Positive thinking without a new paradigm is just dressing the old thermostat up in affirmations and then wondering, why hasn't anything changed? Real abundance is a paradigm where you see, feel, hear, taste, and touch abundance. That's all that comes in your mind. And a paradigm is driving you. It's driving 95% of your behavior. And a paradigm is a multitude of habits, most of which you did not install, most of which you do not know you even have. But here's the sequence. I want you to write this down. This one sequence changed my life. My philosophy is everything. It's a starting point. Our philosophy is how we look at life. It's our automatic operating system. Somebody right now, if I said, is $1 million a lot of money? Some of you will say yes. Some of you will say no. That's your philosophy. That's how you're thinking. Now, at one point, $1 million was a lot of money. Why? Because that's where my thinking was. Now, it's not a lot of money. Why? Because that's where my thinking is now. But that's my philosophy. And your philosophy creates your standard creates your story, and your story creates your identity. And guess what? Your identity drives every result in your life. Now, I'm going to walk you through each layer. Philosophy. What do you believe to be true about money, about work, about your self-worth, about the universe? Are you living in a friendly universe, or are you living in a universe that's always against you? So I want you to ask yourself these questions. Is money good? Is money hard to come by? Is wealth something you earn, or is wealth something I deserve? I want you to ask these questions. Whatever you believe at the philosophy layer, that is the foundation of everything that is following in your life. Most people have never audited their philosophy about money. They inherited it. Somebody taught it to them when they were young, and they have been running it for the last 40, 50, sometimes 60 years, and they wonder, with all the right strategies, what's wrong with me? With all the right tactics, the number never moves. I keep grinding harder. I know what you're probably telling yourself. I can't work any harder, Arash. I agree. There's only so much time in a day. But when you change your philosophy, everything in your life is about to change. Now, standard. What you accept from yourself based on that philosophy. If your philosophy says money is hard, your standards will be, I will take what I can get. If your philosophy says money flows to me in avalanches of abundance, your standard will be, I will not accept less than what I know is mine. Remind yourself, goals are not as important as standards. Goals are what you want. What's more important than goals are our standards, which our standards drive our systems. Systems, you repeat goal achievement over and over again. You do not rise to your goal, you always rise to your standard. Now let's get into the story. This is how you see yourself. This is your self-fulfilling prophecy. It's the narrative you keep mentally rehearsing about why you're where you are. I never went to college. I grew up poor. My industry is tough. The economy is tough. I'm not the type of person who ... whatever it is. There's a story around everything. Your story is a cage. We've got to create an empowering story. And most people stay in that cage, not you. Identity. It's who you have quietly decided to be based on that story. I'm an entrepreneur is almost there. That person's always going to be almost there. Versus my business scales every year. I'm a wealth creator. I'm a legacy builder. I am someone money flows to. Every time I get knocked down, something better is coming my way. And then and only then, results start happening. Results are the name of the game. Results always tell the story. Results are the only thing you can see from the outside. So everybody is trying to change the results, but results are an effect. The cause is us. The cause starts in our philosophy. It starts in our programming. It starts in our standards and stories. It starts in the identity. And that's when the results come. But the results are downstream. Everything upstream is invisible. And you've got to understand, everything is working for you if you start working on your philosophy, your standards, your story, and your identity. But if you try to change what is downstream without changing what is upstream, nothing moves. Whenever I work with my clients, the first thing I do is I start right at the top. I start with understanding where their current philosophy and is that aligned with their vision of how they want to live. So I always start with the operating system, and then we change the operating system. Then we work standards. What are the 1 to 2 most important standards every 90 days that we're going to alter? And then we go right into the story and the identity. This is how the real work is done. And that's when magic happens. That's when people's results change literally overnight. Now, it doesn't change overnight, but it seems like it because you have momentum working in your favor. Now, I want to name something you have probably not let yourself say out loud to yourself. Somewhere along the way, I don't know when you slowly accepted average, a smaller version of what's possible for your life. And you started calling it This is realistic. I'm living better than most. That is your paradigm protecting itself. Protection is the opposite of how you're programmed. You and I are created in the image of God. We have immense potential. The highest part of our personality has enormous potential. The lowest side, the physical side, has very limited potential. The paradigm that is running you is what is showing you your results. And if you're willing just for today to stop being realistic and start dreaming and start going after what you really want, how you really want to live, everything in your life is going to change. And I say this over and over again because I want it brain tattooed with my clients. You do not attract what you want. You attract what you expect. You attract what you are. Our expectations always controls our behavior. And here's what I want you to do. First thing in the morning, not next week, not when you feel ready, literally tomorrow morning, before you look at your phone, before you check your email, before any of it, I want you to stand in front of the mirror and look in your eyes. Your eyes are the window to your soul. And I want you to say out loud, with conviction, with certainty, I am wealthy. And I want you to stop. And then I want you to say, if I was wealthy, how would I feel? And I want you to match the words with a feeling. I am prosperous. Do the same thing. I am powerful. I am infinitely abundant. Not as a chant, not as a wish, but as a future fact. Because the mirror is not lying to you. You are. And the mirror is the one place you cannot hide. I will tell you this video, it's not for everyone. It's not for the person who wants to keep blaming everybody, blaming the economy, blaming how they were raised. It's not for the person who wants to keep blaming the marketplace. This conversation is for the 3% who are done making the excuses. If you're still with me, you're about to break through. Stay with me because this is where it gets super practical. This is where it gets directional. But before I give you the next piece, I want to do something for you. There's no way in one video that I can give you every tool I've used to engineer this identity shift. I'm giving you the framework right now. The framework is the door, but the blueprint is where the magic is. So I built it for you. I took everything, the exact daily rituals, the subconscious reprogramming sequence, the 90-day identity protocol I run every single one of my clients through, and I put it in one document. I call it the blueprint. It is free. I'm not selling it to you. I built it for the person who is watching this video and actually means it. If you want it, here's all I want you to do. Drop the word blueprint in the comments right now, just the word blueprint, and it is yours. Now, when you comment, my team will send it to you directly. It's super simple. Drop the word, then come right back because the next piece is the one that makes everything else stick. The way you make this new identity permanent is not affirmations. It's not a vision board. It's one specific tool that Napoleon Hill, Joseph Murphy, Neville Goddard, and my mentor Bob Proctor also taught. And I will tell you right now, almost nobody is using it accurately. I'm going to show you how I use it every single day. And once you see it, you're going to understand why your affirmations have not been working. Auto-suggestions is not affirmations. I want that clear. Affirmations are something you chant. Auto-suggestions is something you impress. There is a difference between saying it and seeing it already in your mind. And that difference is the difference between a broke dreamer and a wealthy achiever. Here's what most people do. They say, I will be a millionaire. And the subconscious goes, great, you're not one yet, got it. I will keep producing a reality in which you're trying to become one. Because the word will puts the thing in the future. And as long as it is in the future, it is not here. Auto-suggestion is not about the future. Auto-suggestion is about impressing a reality onto the subconscious as if it is already done. Creation is already finished. The moment I auto-suggest, what I auto-suggest is just as real as me looking at my hand right now. Because I've seen it work hundreds of times over the last 21 years. Think from the end, not to the end. That's the big mistake people make. They're always going to the goal, not from the goal. Say that with me in your head. Creation is already finished. Neville taught this. Napoleon Hill taught this. Bob Proctor taught this. And everybody who does it wins. Here's what I want you to do right now. I want you to get out a pen and a piece of paper. And I want you to remember your future. What do I mean by that, remembering your future? I want you to create a scene in your mind, but write it on paper first, then we're going to put it in your mind, of somebody who you love, who is congratulating you. You just had the best year of your life, and see them hugging you and telling them you finally did it, but I knew you were going to do it. Now, I want you to write it exactly the scene the way it would be. And I want you to picture exactly what they're wearing, exactly what you're wearing. I want you to feel the hug. And why am I doing this? Because now you're connecting it as an experience to your subconscious mind. And I want you to see the bank account. I want you to feel the notification. I want you to see the number. I want you to make it so vivid, you feel it in your chest and you have so much peace of mind as if it was already here. Because the moment you do, it is, because creation is always already finished. The moment we decide, it's done. You know, the cell phones, before they ever came, it was in someone's mind. It was always a possibility, and someone came up with that idea. So I've done this for the last 20 plus years, and it never fails. The only person that fails is me if I don't do it consistently. It's about what you do every day that creates a world-class life. Now, don't get knocked down if you miss a day. I want you to get back to it. I want you to lock in on this practice. It's going to create so much belief, but behind the scenes, your subconscious is working at this tirelessly. Your subconscious mind does not distinguish between a real experience and a vividly imagined experience. And I want you to understand that your subconscious mind does not know the difference between a real experience or a vividly imagined experience. What that means is every time you impress this 30-second image on your mind, your subconscious consistently, with emotion, over time, it's moving it into form for you. It is always happening. This isn't magic. It's the law of how your mind works. And let me tell you, when you do this for 30 days, your behaviors are going to start changing. You're going to stop answering the phone for the wrong clients. You're going to stop chasing money. And you're going to stop saying yes to the wrong deals. You're going to start noticing opportunities that you would have walked right away from in the past. Once the inside changes, the outside always catches up. In addition to this, I want you to read something every night and every morning that's inspirational. Now, I love reading. Reading has changed my life. Whatever it is, I want you to study just paragraphs. I want you to study something that you are imprinting inside of you. My favorite quote that changed my relationship to business and money was by Dr. Joseph Murphy. And it was, I like money. I love it. I use it wisely, constructively, and judiciously. Money is constantly circulating in my life. I release it with joy, and it returns to me multiplied in wonderful ways. Money flows to me in avalanches of abundance. That literally, when I was failing so miserably, that paragraph I just brain tattooed. I would write it out. I would read it over and over again. And it changed me from a poverty consciousness to a prosperity consciousness. If you like that, read that every morning when you wake up. Listen to me every morning. Just go back and listen and dictate what I just said to you. Read that every night before you go to bed, because whatever the subconscious holds at the moment of sleep, it works tirelessly all night long on it. Why? Because your conscious mind is out of the way. Your subconscious is most active while you're sleeping. Your subconscious does not take the night off. It goes and works for you based on what you give it the last 5 minutes before you go to sleep. Remind yourself, think from the end, not to the end. Now, I know what some of you are thinking right now. I do not have time to do this every day. Well, that's the price of admission to a life of freedom. You have to be willing to pay the price. Most people are not, but I know you're different. And I want you to understand, you don't have a time problem, you have a priority problem. And that priority is the thermostat talking. Every wealthy person I know will not negotiate with their rituals, which are their frameworks. And I know a lot of them, trust me. And their programming, they guard it like you wouldn't believe. They're not hoping their identity holds up under pressure. They know the cause of everything is their program. They're building it intentionally. Wealth you build by design. What does that mean? That means you build it day by day, brick by brick, every single day with purpose and intention. If you cannot find time to practice your frameworks that I'm giving you, then you don't really want to win. And I will be very frank with you and honest with you. That is the price. We all have to pay the price. Everybody has a right to freedom. I don't care if you're struggling right now, freedom is on the other side of your habits. If you have not made wealth a priority at the identity level, today is a great day to start. If you have not made goal achievement a priority, I want you to do it now. I want you to make your standards a priority. But understand, you may have a goal right now, but you don't have a commitment. Goals without identity is a useless adventure. And here's where it gets really interesting. You cannot do auto-suggestion perfectly every single day and still not take action. Because action that comes from the old identity is exhausting as you're changing. And action that comes from the new identity is inspiring. Inspiration is so different than motivation. First of all, inspirational ideas become effortless, that you get to do this. Motivation is you're forcing yourself to the end. Motivation will get you started, but inspiration is when the idea takes hold of us and you fall in love with that idea. And it is such an effortless process. Now, in the next few minutes, I'm going to show you why most of you have been told about discipline and why it has been dead wrong and what to do instead. I want to say something very clearly because this one is going to hit some of you. You do not have a discipline problem. You have a commitment problem. You do not have a time management problem. You have a decision problem. Now, let me explain the difference. Action that comes from a real decision is a committed, non-negotiable, burning your bridges decision, and it requires no willpower. Think of a time you made a real committed decision where you said, I'm done playing my life this way, and you just went after it. You just did it. It will become like brushing your teeth. You don't wake up at 37 years old and argue with yourself about whether you're going to brush your teeth. It is a habit. It is identity. Now, I want action to be the same way. Action cannot happen without a real decision. Action without a real decision requires all the willpower in the world, and it is exhausting. You are going to burn out. It is a white-knuckle drive from Monday to Friday. You wake up Saturday and you do not even have the energy to enjoy your life. If you're exhausted, let me tell you what that is. That is not a sign that you need to try harder. That is a sign that the decision underneath your action is not real. Let me tell you what a real decision feels like. It is going to be like a weight off your shoulders. It's not a wish. It's not a goal. It is who you've decided to be. I remember when I decided I was going to create a life of freedom, but I was going to do it in an effortless way. I remember exactly how I felt. And when I started creating freedom, it didn't surprise me because I had been playing that decision in my mind and I've been already living in my mind that was already a done deal. I did not negotiate. I decided that I was going to build a life that my family would be proud of. And that wasn't going to be a someday decision. That's when I took my personal development as sacred. I worked on it every day. And I've been studying this every day for the past 21 years. Now, understand this. If I can do it, you could do it. I'm not special. I just was great at following instruction. Before any evidence existed that it was possible for me, that's what a real decision did for me. It got me moving. It was always decision before evidence. Now, let me say it again. This is the wealth identity. It's decision before evidence. That is when you are playing the limitless game. Now, the amateur waits for the evidence. Once I see traction, then I'll commit. Once I start earning this amount of money, then I'll invest myself. They're never going to get it. Once my kids are in school, I'll go for it. And they wait their whole life for evidence that is never going to come. Because the universe does not give evidence to the people who have not committed. The pro is very different. They decide first. The evidence always follows the decision, not the other way around. In the first year after I made that decision, I paid off my debt. I netted $282,000 in positive cash flow. And I was the same man I had been the week before. Same skills, same network, same everything. The only change was my decision. I started choosing standards over feelings. Standards over feelings. I want you to brain tattoo that. Most people are letting their feelings drive their standards. And that's why they're always yo-yoing up and down, up and down. So I want you to really understand, if you're building your business, your life, your relationships on feelings, you're building your life up and down. Now, when you build them on standards, standards is non-negotiable. This is done, and you give yourself a command, you get to work, whether you feel like it or not, because of who you decided to be. You don't rise to your goals, you always rise to your standards. Now, let me give you the practical piece here, because I know some of you are looking for the how. I call it the 3x4. Now, this is a game changer. I've had so many clients have told me this is one of the most impactful frameworks I ever taught them. So I tell them to pick 3 goal-achieving activities every day, 5 days a week. And I want them to focus, non-negotiable, they're going to do these 3 activities. These are the activities that really move the needle towards your goal. And they're executed from the new identity for 90 days. 3, I didn't tell them to do 10. I said, I don't care. Once you get the 3 goal-achieving activities, do whatever you want. So I want you to define what are the 3 activities that if you did only them over 90 days would move your income. Write them down. If you don't know, you have a bigger problem than this video can solve, and we should have a different conversation. But most of you know exactly what they are, you're just not doing them. Why? Because they're uncomfortable. Because they require you to be seen. They require you to risk failing. They require discipline. Here's what I want you to do tonight before you go to sleep. I want you to write down those 3 goal-achieving activities. And I want you to sign your name at the bottom of the paper. Literally sign it. Why? Because when we put our name to it, it deepens the commitment on a subconscious level. And I want you to do it for 90 days. Not when you feel like it. First. Now, the standard that is identity-based behavior. What does that mean? I want you to look at that goal that you want more than anything and say, what is the 3 standards over 90 days that person who's already achieved that would have, and that becomes your standard. Now you're doing the 3 goal-achieving activities and you're implementing the 3 standards every day. And when you do that, it's going to change the game. Now, what I'm giving you is the alternative. It is built on decisions. It's built on standards, and it's built on identity. And watch how the action just becomes a normal part of what you do. What you used to have to talk yourself into, you do right away. But remind yourself, everything we do with speed because the universe responds to speed. When the idea is burning hot, you got to act on it right away. If you don't act on it right away, the idea is going to die. The universe always rewards people who act. Action is the most important thing you and I do every single day. And when you do them, everything is going to change. So here's what's about to happen once you start living from this new identity. The world is going to test you. People are going to say things. Circumstances are going to try to pull you right back to the old self. And if you do not know how to protect the programming, you're going to lose it well before the 90 days. Now, let me show you the last piece. The number one reason people slide back into a survival identity, it's not lack of effort, it's environment. The people you spend time with, the content you consume, the conversations you tolerate, they're either adding to your wealth identity every single day or they're burning it down while you sleep. There's no neutral. I want you to hear that. There is no neutral there. You are either in a room that is lifting you up or you're in a room that is holding you back. I run away from the 97%. Run away from the masses. I always say it. If you're hanging around with the masses, you're hanging around with the asses. Go the other way. And when you do that, everything is going to change. Because I need you to protect your new paradigm. I need you to be around people who are going in the same direction. Your 5 closest people are your financial ceiling. That is not me being dramatic. It has been proven. That is a mathematical truth. Their income, their energy average, their standard average, that is your gravity. You can exceed it for short bursts, but over time, you're going to drift back towards it. Because the subconscious is built to match the tribe. So your job, if you want to change the number, is to change who you hang around. Let me be clear about what I'm saying and what I'm not saying. I'm not saying divorce your family. I'm not saying abandon your friends. I'm saying broaden the proximity, add new rooms to your life, people who are where you want to be, people whose standards are higher than the room you have been sitting in for the last 10 years. A few years ago, I joined Russell Brunson's inner circle, not because I needed more tactics, but I wanted to be in bigger rooms around entrepreneurs who were further than me. And I grew faster in 12 months in that room than I had in the previous few years in the other rooms I was in. Now understand this, you have to do it by yourself, but you can never do it alone. That is a game-changing idea. The work is yours, the room is strategy, and this is the uncomfortable part. Some of the people you're closest to right now are not going to come with you on this next chapter. And that is not a bad thing. It's just you've outgrown your environment. It is just a fact. Because when you start raising your standard, you're going to naturally stop accepting conversations that sound like the old thermostat. The complaint about the economy, the venting about the client, the shrinking, the excusing, the well, what can you do? You're going to outgrow it, I promise you that. And that is the price. Remember earlier in the video, I said you're going to have to pay the price. But the price is very worth it. And it is going to test you. Here's what I want you to do this week. Take out a piece of paper and write down the 5 people you talk to most about your goals, your dreams. Just the 5. Write their names down. Now, don't give this to them. That is your financial ceiling. Look at it. If that ceiling is not where you want to be, you have a decision to make. Not to abandon them, but to set a goal and an intention that you're going to create a great environment. You're going to start masterminding with people who are working on ideas that you want to work on. Now, this is about you. It's not about them. It's about where you're going to invest your time, your energy, your proximity over the next 12 months. Now, I want you to look at the names, be honest with yourself. Are they pulling you up or are they keeping you comfortable in a version of yourself you've already outgrown? You cannot rise by yourself. You rise in the rooms that demand more of you. Upgrade the room, upgrade the content you are consuming, upgrade the conversations you're tolerating at your dinner table, and watch how fast the thermostat moves. Now, here's what I want you to understand as we close this out. You came into this video thinking you had a money problem. You're leaving understanding you had an identity problem. And that is the best news I could possibly give you. Because a money problem chased at the surface takes a lifetime, and it rarely ends well. But an identity shift done correctly is just about decision. You're one decision away from changing your life. The decision you already made when you decided to make it this far in this video. Wealth is never something you chase, it's someone you become. Now let me say that one more time because I want this brain tattooed. Wealth is not something you chase, wealth is someone you become. You're not behind right now. No matter what your results are telling you, you are becoming that person. And that person you are becoming does not play the game of wealth with stress and fear. The person you are becoming plays it from a standard that says quietly and without any effort or judgment, this is mine. That is the frequency you're stepping into. That is your birthright. A quantum leap is absolutely your birthright. Before you go, if you didn't do it earlier, do it right now. I put together a complete resource for everything we just walked through called the Blueprint. It's free. It contains a full 90-day protocol I run every one of my clients through, the daily rituals, the subconscious reprogramming, the 3x4 activity map, the proximity audit, every tool I have used to engineer this shift in my own life and in the life of every client I've coached. Either way, go get it. It's free, and the time is now for you. Now, if you implement for 90 days, it's going to change your life. That is a promise. But don't believe me, but don't not believe me, just prove it to yourself. Now, here's what I know. Some of you are watching this right now. You're going to go do the work. You're going to set your life on fire in such a good way where that fire is burning and you're going to go to sleep so fired up and waking up so fired up, and your life is going to shift. And some of you are going to close this video, go back to your inbox, and 6 months from now, nothing will have changed. And I want you to finish 2026 as the single best year of your life.